Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
What is up, gang? Welcome back to Recliner Sports. This is Devin. We're here live. We're not in the Tiki Bar tonight. We're upstairs, but anyways, all going to be the same. We're here tonight to talk about the big win, Montreal Canadiens over the St. Louis Blues 5-2 final. Let's go through the score real quickly. I thought it was a good game. I thought the Canadiens played well. They certainly came out strong in the first period. They looked really, really good early on. They carried the play through most of the first period. I would say they dominated the first period. I think they did pretty much as they could in that period. Unfortunately, they only came out of it with a one-goal lead, but that was enough. And, I thought the first period looked really good. The first goal from Jake Evans, assisted by Armia and Savard at 8:34. Little chip pass from Savard to Armia. Then a nice breakout pass from Armia cross ice, quite a long ways out to Evans. Evans and Pezzetta going in on a 2-on-1, basically all the way in from the red line. Evans keeps the puck, and he scores short side on Binnington. Canadiens go up 1-0. They outshot the Blues 8-5 in the first. High danger chances, 3-0 for Montreal in the first. They certainly carried the play. It kind of reminded me a little bit about the game against the Rangers. A lot of people made a lot about that game and the fact that they lost 7-2. But again, it was a situation where in that game where the Canadiens came out and played quite well for the first few minutes, and then the Rangers kind of turned the puck around and scored right away, and it kind of took the air out of the sails for the Canadiens. Luckily in this situation, I mean, the Blues are not the Rangers. They're not as good a team. So in this particular situation, that didn't happen. The Canadiens were able to maintain that pressure and to carry things throughout the entire period. Second period, not as good as the first. I think there was a tale of two periods. I think the Canadiens came out doing pretty well in the early in the second period. They scored early on a goal from Kirby Dach, his first of the year, assisted by Suzuki and Matheson at 1:12. This was a rebound goal, point shot from Matheson. Suzuki is fighting for the rebound in front of the net. There's a bit of a scramble in front of the net. The puck comes loose to Kirby Dach, and Kirby Dach picks it up and fires it in on the empty side of the net. The difference between this period and the first period is, despite all of that, the Blues came right back less than a minute later. The Canadiens kind of had a bit of a letdown. This is probably their worst part of the game, was this sort of 7 or 8 minute time period after that second goal. So at 1:33, Colton Parayko scores from Suter and Bolduc. Again, another scramble in front of the net. The Canadiens can't clear the players or the puck out of that zone. And eventually Parayko gets a hold of it, and he's able to bury it. I'm going to just put the box score up here for you guys for a second, and then you guys can have a look at that. So 1:33, the Blues cut into the Canadiens' lead. They make it 2-1. And then literally, 2 minutes later, 2.5 minutes later, Jake Neighbors scores from Saad and Shen at 4:02. Again, this was Logan Mailloux struggled a little bit tonight, and this was sort of the highlight as far as his struggling is concerned. He got beaten quite easily on a play by Shen. Shen just kind of went around him like he was standing still, which was bad enough in and of itself. But because he got beaten so badly, instead of getting back in the play and trying to do something, Mailloux kind of, I don't know if he was sulking or not, but he just kind of sat, he kind of stood there and watched the play. Shen was stopped by Montembeault. The puck went behind the net, and then the puck was fed back in front of the net by Saad, out to Neighbors, who buried the puck, and basically Logan Mailloux just stood there and watched the whole thing. So not the best effort from Mailloux, and I think if you were watching the game, I think you noticed at that point that he didn't get a whole lot of ice time after that. And again, it's a bit of the new Marty St. Louis. I think he's expecting more from the players right now, which might not be fair to a guy like Mayu, who is a rookie. Certainly the attitude last year was, if you make a mistake, we're going to throw you right back out there and give you another chance. It didn't look tonight like Mayu got that second chance. Again, I do appreciate that it's a new world for Marty St. Louis and the Canadiens. But again, Mayu may have deserved a bit of a benefit of the doubt on that one. But in any event, he didn't have a great game, and that was sort of the turning point as far as his rough game. Again, different from the Rangers game, the Canadiens didn't sort of just disappear after that second goal. After St. Louis was able to tie it up, they didn't just sort of fall apart like they did in some of the previous games. They were able to come back. They scored a goal at 14:04. This one from Newhook, from Doc, and from Matheson. This was a power play goal. Yeah, this one was a power play goal. Matheson with a nice pass from the point to Kirby Doc, who was sort of not on the boards, but sort of near the top of the circle, kind of. And then he fed a nice, quick tic-tac-toe pass over to Newhook, who just buried it. Really, really nice play. They scored. It was very quick into the power play, literally in the first 10 or 15 seconds of the power play. It looked really, really nice. Again, Kirby Doc probably had his best game of the year, and that was a really nice play by him on that particular goal. Shots in the second period were 8-5 for Montreal. High danger chances were 6-4 in favor of St. Louis. And St. Louis, I wouldn't say dominated that period. I think they were probably the better team in that period. But Montreal did manage to score I won't say it's a late goal at 14:04, but they did manage to regain the lead before the third period got underway. Third period, Cole Caulfield, right? The 50-goal man, hopefully. But he's on a bit of a tear right now, and he scored another one at 5:19 of the third period. A really nice play in the defensive zone by Lane Hudson. He creates a turnover, gets the puck, and immediately gets the puck up to Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki finds Caulfield skating through the middle. Caulfield goes in one-on-one, and again, it's Caulfield's shot that we really want to see something from, right? That world-class shot that we hope will turn him into being a 50-goal scorer in the NHL someday, and he showed it. Hey, Zachary, what's going on? He showed it, and he just cleanly beat Binnington with a wrist shot from, just outside of the, just above the slot, right? He's going in one-on-one, and the defender is basically challenging him to shoot, and he does, and, he shows the world-class shot that he has, and that was the 4-2 goal. Canadians are up 4-2 at that point. Game's, I won't say it's over. I think St. Louis carried a little bit of the play in the third period. The Canadians bent but didn't break. I thought they looked a lot better in the defensive zone tonight than they did. I feel like they're getting a hold of this new hybrid defensive system that Marty St. Louis is bringing in. They're starting to get a feel for it. I thought they looked a lot better. I thought there was a lot of there certainly were a lot. If I was making video, I could have clipped a lot of different plays where guys made really good reads and killed plays earlier. Matheson made a bunch. Hudson had a few. Struble, even Jack-Eye. I thought Jack-Eye looked pretty good tonight as well. After sitting out 2 games in a row, this being his return to the lineup, I thought he certainly didn't show any nerves, and I thought he looked quite good. The Canadians put it away at 16:49. A little over 3 minutes left in the game. St. Louis pulls their goalie early. You get a goal from Armia, assisted by Dvorak and Evans. Evans creates the turnover in the neutral zone, gets the puck to Armia. Armia buries it, and the game's over. Shots in the third period favored the Blues. They had 11. The Canadians had 7. The final shots tally was 31-26, and high danger chances were 3-0 for St. Louis in the third period for a total of 10-7 on the game. I think that's a little bit misleading. I'm not sure I would go as far as to say that. I don't know how they judge the high danger chances. I'm sure there's an algorithm or a system that they use to develop that or to assess that. I'm not sure I would have said it was 10-7 based on my viewing of the game, but what do I know? So it's Montreal 5, St. Louis 2. A good game by Montreal. I thought they played well. There was a period sort of after the Cole Caulfield goal. I want to say it was, so sort of from about the 5-minute mark until about the 12-minute mark where they were just running and gunning. And I thought that was, I kind of got that feeling. This is what this team wants to look like. This is what they, when they're playing well, when they're playing their game, when everyone's firing on all cylinders, this is what you want this team to look like. They were just flying out there. They were moving the puck around. It maybe got a little bit loosey-goosey on the defensive side of things, but I think that's what you kind of want the Canadiens to look like. And I thought that was sort of, a bit of a glimpse into it. Now, they weren't able to maintain that for a significant period of time. Like I said, St. Louis kind of took it to them a little bit through the middle part of the third period, but they were able to survive. They were able to bend and not break, and they came out with a nice 5-2 win. So we will move on now to our I think I'm going to do the report card next. So I'm not going to do we'll do the A-team last, but right now I'll do the report card. So let's have a look at the report card. I thought it's a positive report card tonight. Again, the report card is basically a different way of looking at the game. With a rebuilding team, a team that is in transition, you might not always be looking for wins and losses. Sometimes they'll play a game that they lose, but the effort is good and you're happy with it. Sometimes they'll play games and win, and you're not happy with the effort. So tonight, I think we're pretty happy. The report card reflects that. We've got, the two obvious ones: score 3 or more goals, allow 3 or fewer goals. The basis there is that, in the NHL, if you score more than 240 goals in a season, you have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs. On the other hand, if you allow 3 or fewer goals, you also have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs. Certainly, if you do both of those things, you have a really good chance of making the playoffs. And I'm noticing now that I screwed up the report card because I have an X on there, and that should be all 6 check marks because they scored more than 3 goals tonight with 5, and they allowed fewer than 3 with just 2. So that should be a check mark next to the second column and not an X. Special teams tonight. The special teams. Let's have a look. They were stand by. Tonight the Canadiens went 1 for 3 on the power play. So again, they score another power play goal. I think that's a power play goal in every game this year, and they held St. Louis scoreless on 3 power plays. So St. Louis goes 0 for 3. Montreal goes 1 for 3. Again, to me, that's a check mark. That's a positive, especially when you consider where the Canadiens were coming from as far as their power play last year. I believe they're close to the top 10 in power play, and they're in the top 3, I think, in penalty kill. So that's definitely a huge improvement from the past. And I don't think anybody can be unhappy with the way that the power play has looked so far this year. And again, I'm giving them a passing grade on the on special teams tonight. Consistent effort and compete. I do think there were a couple of dead periods in the game. Like I said, after the second Canadian goal when they went up 2-0, they kind of fell asleep for a few minutes there, allowed 2 quick goals. But they were able to recover from that. And there was a bit of a period in the third when they kind of fell asleep a little bit as well. But otherwise, I thought overall I would be happy to give them a check mark for a consistent effort. I thought they played a pretty solid game. If they didn't play 60 minutes, they certainly played, a solid 53 or 54 minutes. And I think under the circumstances, I think that's pretty good. And I think the result shows it. I do know that some of the advanced stats that we talked about a minute ago might say otherwise. But again, I don't think that this was a game where you would say that the two teams were pretty evenly matched, despite what the high danger chances and the expected goals might say. I'm happy to give Montreal the check mark there. Discipline, 3 penalties. I thought they were all, again, not very, none of them were discipline situations where they took bad penalties. I thought, I thought they were fine in that regard tonight. And enjoyment. Again, I know that sounds kind of wishy-washy, but again, with a young team that's rebuilding, you want them to enjoy playing hockey. You want them to look like they're having fun out there. And I think they did that tonight. Kirby Dach had a smile on his face. He has struggled a little bit so far this year. But I thought, again, like I said earlier, I thought he had his best game, and he looked like he was having a good time out there, and so did his line mates. So, as far as enjoyment goes, I'm happy to give them a check mark there as well. I thought they looked like they were having a good time. I mean, this team generally looks like they're having a good time. I think they're all young, and they like playing hockey. They love what they're doing. Of course, they look like they're having more fun when they're winning than when they're not. But, I thought they looked fine tonight, and I was happy to do that. Welcome into the live, guys. I see there's a few of you in there. Hang out a little bit, guys. We're almost done doing our review. We're just going to go over the A team next, and then we'll move on to taking some questions from the comment box there. If you're hanging out, we'll do that for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll shut her down. But let me just go quickly through the A team here now. The A team, of course, is our version of the 3 stars. Bit of a throwback or a tribute to the great 1980s television show where we picked the 4 guys who I thought had pretty good games, the guys who stood out as the hard workers, the guys who really did their job tonight. I think you probably had 5 or 6 guys that could have deserved it tonight, but I chose Matheson, Doc, Evans, and Anderson. Let's just go through that quickly. And if you have questions about this, guys, feel free to throw them in the comments. If you have any debate about the guys that I've picked, I thought Matheson just had another good game. Matheson, despite what a lot of people think, is probably one of the most consistent performers on this team. He's playing 24, 25 minutes most nights. He's playing on the penalty kill. He's playing on the power play. He's playing on 5-on-5. A lot of people will call him out and say that he's not playing well or that he's playing inconsistently because, he might, not look spectacular on the power play. He might turn a puck over or take a shot at the wrong time or whatever. And, people see that and they sort of cloud or judge his entire game based on that. And, it's not fair because, like I said, he's, if he's playing, 3 or 4 minutes in a game on the power play, he's playing, upwards of 16 or 17 minutes on 5-on-5. And he's very, very steady on 5-on-5. He's moving the puck. He's getting the puck out of his end. He's breaking the puck out. He's relatively solid in his, in the D zone. Obviously, he's an offensive defenseman, so D zone is not his best. I don't think, I don't think that's his best place is in the D zone, but he's very solid there. He's obviously a fantastic skater, and he moves the puck well. So I thought he had another great game. I think this is probably the 2nd or 3rd time, maybe the 3rd or 4th time that he's been on the A team so far this year. Kirby Doc had a great game. Again, his best game yet. A couple points, I believe. Looked like he was having fun out there. Looked, like he was a little bit more in sync. His skating looked better. He was moving the puck well. Looked good on the power play. I just thought a really good all-around game for him. Physicality, throwing the body. I thought it was a good performance for him. 3rd star Jake Evans, again, another great game by Jake Evans. Perhaps, somebody asked me earlier today whether I thought Jake Evans was the most consistent performer on the team so far this year, and I don't know that I would say that he was the most, but you can't argue with that. He's been great all along. Jake Evans is a guy who I would be happy to see on this team for a long time to come, even after, the team becomes a contender and moves on. If Jake Evans is still there, in a 4th line role, I'm happy. I like his game. He shows up most nights, almost every night. He's gritty. He plays bigger than his size. He's a great forechecker. He's amazing on the penalty kill. And tonight was no difference. There were a couple instances on the penalty kill where he just, he looked spectacular. And again, much the same. I'm going to give the nod to Jake Anderson. I get Jake Anderson, Josh Evans. Anyway, Jake Anderson. I thought Anderson looked really good. I think Anderson's been having a quietly a very good year. Again, once you get past his contract, which obviously he's being overpaid, I don't think anybody would debate that. But if you accept him for what he is and what he's able to bring to the game and what he contributes, he had a great game. He's had a great season so far, right? He, really good on the penalty kill. There was one penalty kill in the 3rd period, where he's blocked a couple shots. I think he ended up leaving the game, unfortunately, so we'll see whether or not he is badly injured and has to be out at all. I disagree to the 100th degree with you, Tyler, if you think that Mailloux had a stronger game than Anderson. I don't believe that at all. If that's what you thought, maybe we can talk about it here in a second. But I don't think Anderson's game was even comparable to Mailloux's. I thought Mailloux was probably the worst player on the team for Montreal tonight, and I thought Anderson played quite well. He even looked like he might have had his hands back a little bit there today. He made a couple of nice passes. I still think he's kind of gripping his stick pretty tight. But no, I thought he had a really good game. Again, like I said, once you get past his contract and you just accept that, he's not going to put up 20-plus goals anymore, I think, you'll find that Anderson is a more than serviceable guy on your third or fourth line. And that's basically what he's been this year, and I'm very happy about it. And I thought he had another really, really solid game. There may be some other guys that I could have put in that fourth spot, but that power play where he blocked the shot with his ankle, basically throwing his own his body to the wind and not really giving a shit about it at the towards the end of the game there, kind of solidified it for me and kind of convinced me to put him in that role. So there you have the A-team guys: Matheson, Doc, Evans, and Anderson. Again, it's a 5-2 win for Montreal. You've got, let's go back to the box score here. You've got, stand by. You've got goals from Evans, Doc, Newhook, Caulfield, and Armia. Just a solid performance all around for everybody. I thought it was a really good game, and I think as Canadiens fans, we should be happy about it. Is there still work to be done? I think there is, absolutely. Again, you'd like to see – you're still waiting for that game where they just dominate from minute 1 to minute 60 and just take it to the other team, and there's no real there's no real doubt at any point in the game. Again, I know that's not going to happen every night, but that's kind of what we're, at least we can get one game like that. Again, we're hoping to get through another game with no injuries, but it looks like Anderson might be out. Is he the biggest loss in the world? I mean, I hesitate to say that about anybody because I do think he's had a decent beginning of the year. But yeah, hopefully he'll be okay. Apparently Gouli skated today. Apparently Barron skated today, and apparently Slavkovsky skated today. So those are all good signs for the future. They haven't skated with the team yet. They're skating on their own. But yeah, those are good things. Those are good signs, and hopefully we will be able to get to the point where we can put, or I keep saying we. I hate that when people say we. Hopefully the Canadiens will get to the point where they can put their entire lineup out there. And then even after Christmas, maybe we even see Patrick Laine back in January, and we really see what these guys can do. So again, 5-2 win for Montreal. I think it's a pretty positive situation. I thought there were a lot of good performers tonight. In addition to the four guys from the A-team, I think Suzuki is worth pointing out. He had a pretty good game. Again, I think he's been solid the last. I think he struggled a little bit in the first 2 or 3 games of the year, but he's definitely been solid in the remainder of the last, let's say, 4 games. He's been, back to his old self. Caulfield again with another goal. I mean, he's on what's he got now? Cole Caulfield now has 7 goals in 8 games, right? So that's a pretty good pace. I'll take that all year long. 82 goals for Caulfield this year. That'd be pretty nice, wouldn't it? I'm just kidding. Who else? Who else did I want to? Lane Hudson. Lane Hudson, right? Another solid game. +2. No real defensive lapses. I mean, he's clearly a guy who learns really well from his mistakes. He struggled a little bit defensively the last couple games. Was able to come back and, looked very solid defensively. Got back on the, on the scoreboard with another point. He now has, I think, 5 points on the season in 8 games. Not bad for a rookie defenseman. 6 points in 9 games, pardon me. So he's improving, a +2, he looks good. So I'm happy to see him get back on the board. And, So that's it. Let's take some comments, guys. We'll do this quickly. It's 11:30. Let's do, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes here of some questions. I don't know who's in the live right now. I see Zachary's here. Frank is here. Tyler is here or was here. Are you guys still around? Zachary is talking about we lost in overtime. So Zachary is a Leafs fan, one would think. I think that's Leafs fan Zach. Yes, I did see the end of the Leafs game. My buddy is sitting here, and he is a Leafs fan. And the only thing better than a Canadiens win is a Canadiens win combined with a Toronto Maple Leafs loss. So, yeah. But Frank, finally a good positive game. Caulfield stays hot. Who was in that I was working? Did not see much of the game. Who was in net was in goal was Montembeault. Let's move these comments over here so I can see them and still look at the camera. Montembeault was in nets. I guess you've just heard me talk about the game, Frank, so I won't repeat all of it. Jake Evans for Selke. Again, I mean, you might be joking about that, but Jake Evans is the kind of player that the Selke was originally designed to go to, right? Not to these guys who have, 60, 70, 80 points and happen to be, responsible defensive players. Jake Evans is the guy or the type of guy who that award was designed for. So you're not going to get an argument for me. I think that so far this year, again, not having seen every other team and every other player play, you're not going to get an argument from me about Jake Evans. Mayu had a stronger game than Anderson. Again, I disagree fully and completely. I mean, I don't know if you were joking about that or if that was serious, Tyler, but I'm not sure. Line A slot on the power play again. Yeah, like I said, hopefully in the new year, we'll have the opportunity to see the Canadiens put their full strength of roster on the ice, right? Including Patrick Laine. Nice pass by Matthews to Pasta in OT. Yes, it was. Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded me of the overtime goal against Ottawa in the preseason, where Marner and Matthews were on the ice and kind of didn't look like the defensive stalwarts that everybody seems to think they are. But again, I'm not here really to talk about the Leafs tonight. I mean, I didn't watch the entire game, so I don't really have much to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't have the opportunity to watch the entire game. So, does anybody have any questions or anything to talk about the Habs game tonight? Frank, I know you're still here, I think. I believe there's 4 of you in the room right now. Who's in here right now? We got just Tyler and Zach, actually. So, Frank, if you're still here, I mean, the game was, like I said, I've pretty much gone through the game, so there's no sense in me sort of repeating everything. But, yeah, it was a pretty solid game by the Canadiens. Nobody else has any questions? We can end it early, guys, if nobody's here to ask any questions. Laine looked in good spirits up in the press box. That was good. Yeah, I think Laine is enjoying his time in Montreal. I think prior to being injured, he was very happy. He was happy to be in Montreal. I think it was one of the teams he wanted to play for. I think he wanted to come to Montreal. I think it was one of his preferred spots. I think he was really, really happy with his situation. He was playing hockey and he was liking it. And obviously the injury derailed a lot of that, but it's nice to see that, he still is enjoying the city and enjoying sort of the non-hockey part of being with the Montreal Canadiens. He seems to get along with the guys. They're up in the press box hanging out and shooting the shed, and there's, it's a good young team. And I think, a guy like Laine, even though he's a little bit older, perhaps didn't get that type of camaraderie earlier on in his career. I think he was in a situation in Winnipeg where he was a young kid on an older team that was a pretty serious bunch of guys, and I think this is a team that puts a little bit more emphasis on having a good time and having fun. Monty looked better than Binnington. That's the Canada battle. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Obviously, I think Montembeault looked better than Binnington tonight. I don't know that that's the complete Canadian battle. I think those are probably two of the guys who are being considered. I obviously prefer Montembeault. I'm not a big Binnington fan. I don't think Binnington has the mental strength or the mental approach to the game that you want to have in a goaltender in a short-term tournament like that, right? Like his psyche seems to be a little bit too fragile for me. Like you don't want to have a goalie in a short-term tournament that's going to lose his mind, right? And do something stupid, take a bad penalty, or even just get off his game, right? He's the kind of guy who can get off his game. And, it's one thing to get off your game for, a week or so in the middle of the regular season in the NHL. It's another thing when you're playing in a tournament where there's just 4 games. If you get off your game for 2 or 3 games, you've just, buggered up the entire tournament. So, what kind of injury did Anderson get? He blocked a shot with the inside of his foot, Frank. So it looked like it was either a foot or an ankle. He went to the bench, sat on the bench for a minute, got some treatment, went back on the ice, tried skating and wasn't able to, went back to the bench and then eventually into the dressing room. So they didn't really say exactly what the injury was, but it looks like it was something to his foot. Yeah, I don't know if I would... I don't know that comparing Patrick Waugh to Jordan Binnington would be a real sharp assessment. I don't know that that's something I would. Those are not two guys I would compare. I think that they both. Had the ability to go crazy a little bit at times, but I think Patrick Waugh certainly had a much better ability to recover from that or to use it. Right. I think Patrick Waugh had an ability to use that emotion to his benefit as opposed to, going crazy. Yeah, I don't agree with that, Tyler. If he had a worse temper than Binnington, he certainly was able to control it significantly better than Binnington did. He was able to pick his spots significantly better than Binnington does, and he certainly was able to use that anger and that emotion to his benefit a lot better than Binnington has been. I don't agree with you. Again, worse temper, I guess, is a subjective thing, but I certainly don't think that Roy's temper impacted his game negatively nearly to the degree that Binnington's has. Sure, yeah, I agree. I agree with all those things, but what you're not hearing me say is that, he knew how to use that, right? So I don't think that you can point to scenarios where Patrick Waugh getting upset and losing his temper negatively affected his ability to stop pucks, right? He either was able to put it aside when he needed to, or he was able to use that anger and that emotion to his own benefit and to make him better as a goaltender. Binnington gets like that, and it gets in his head, and it affects his ability to play, and it affects his ability to stop pucks, which, as a goaltender, is your number one job. It's what you're there to do. And if you're letting your emotions get the better of you, and obviously, you're talking about Roy as a coach is obviously different than him as a player too. So again, I'm not sure what the point you're trying to make about, comparing Patrick Waugh and Jordan Binnington, but again, like I said, it's not a very sharp comparison to compare those two guys. One is one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, and one is a guy who we probably won't even really remember in 15 years from now. So I don't think that, it really makes a ton of sense to put those two guys in the same or even a similar category. So, all right, gang, if that's going to be it, Frank, do you have any more questions? I see you're still in here. If anybody else is in here, let's hear him if you have any more questions. In the meantime, I guess I'll start signing off. If you guys have not yet subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. If you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We go live with Habs After Dark every Canadiens game, 15 minutes after the final buzzer. We go live, and like I said, we do a review and synopsis of the game. We have a quick chat about the game, and then we talk about, hey, Hunter, what's going on, man? If you have any questions, Hunter, fire away. After the game, I do a review of the game for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then we take questions. We can take questions about the Canadiens, ideally, but if you have questions about other teams, we can do that also, or just about hockey in general. But that's pretty much what we do. Like I said, go subscribe, hit the notification bell, join when you can. That would be great. Also, you can go follow us on TikTok, Recliner Sports on TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram, also Recliner Sports. And we've just started our own Discord server. So if you are watching this live or if you're watching in the replay, go check out our Discord server. And also, on a last note, we have just started a website, reclinersports.ca, where we post some of our written work. So we do write some articles. I have an article there about the recipe for making the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens this year. What do they need? What ingredients do they need? What needs to happen in order for them to make the playoffs? And I'm in the process of writing a story about Ivan Demidov and his adventures in Russia. And I also posted another story, and I can't think what it is right now. So you're going to have to go over there and check it out. But again, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Discord. Did I say Discord? And then our website. So go follow us at all those places. If you like this content, if you like talking about hockey, grown-up conversations about hockey, if you like that, we try and keep the conversations objective, and we try and not be, super fans that only cheer for our team. We try to talk objectively about our teams and other teams. So if you enjoy that, give us a follow. Hunter says it might be a long year for Toronto. It's early, but it might be a long year for Toronto. But again, I don't think there's much chance that Toronto doesn't make the playoffs. I think they figure it out at some point. What they do once they get to the playoffs, I guess, is a different story. But you've got the players in Toronto. I think that Toronto will be okay. Again, I'm not sure about having Matthews and Marner on the ice during overtime. I think that might be a concern and something to work on. But didn't see the Habs game, but looks like they played well. Yeah, it was a pretty good game, Hunter. I thought they played well. The report card tonight spoke quite well. I think we got 6 check marks on the report card tonight, so pretty happy about that. Patrick Rowe reminded me of the goalie for the Winnipeg Jets, same size. Are you talking about Connor Hellebuck? Okay, I don't know that. I'd have to look at I don't know on what way you're comparing them, whether you mean the way they play on the ice or what. But yeah. Anyways, guys, unless you guys have other questions, I think I'm going to end everything there. Like I said. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, if you're watching in the replay, just hit the subscribe button. If you do want to catch us when we're live, we do go live after the games. It usually takes me about 15 minutes or so to get myself together after the games with all the graphics and the overlays. And then we go live. And like I said, we stay on probably for half an hour, 45 minutes once the game's over. And I appreciate everybody for coming. Hunter has one more question. Matthew Nyes has 4 goals already, like his game early on this season. I agree. I'm a Matthew Nyes fan, and as you know, I mean, for me, if the Leafs have Matthew Nyes on their third line, Matthew Nyes and Bobby McMahon, that to me means they're in really good shape. But unfortunately, right now, I think they have a little bit of an imbalanced roster. They're paying too much money to too few guys. And, instead of being third and fourth line guys, not fourth line, I think Nyes and McMahon are third line guys. These guys are now required, same with Domi, right? These guys should be playing in a third line role, but because there's being so much money spent on those, big 3 and 4, those guys now have to play, top 6 production roles when, I think they're better suited in a sort of a two-way style of game. Domi, Nyes, McMahon, guys like that. So anyways, yes, thank you, Hunter. I will see you next time as well. Like I said, guys, Habs After Dark, thank you for coming. We go on after the games. Every Habs game we try and do a live. Make sure you tap that notification bell. That way you'll get notified when we're live. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. And we will definitely see you. I think the next game's tomorrow. So We'll try and get on tomorrow night after the game. Hopefully you guys will all be able to make it, and hopefully you'll be able to tell your friends, and we'll be able to get a big crowd out and have a good time. Anyways, peace, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hoffman, Monahan parked in front. Dr. Caulfield fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.